Welcome to the Hope Unlocked podcast. I'm Kristin, Kurtz, your host. I pray this episode is like a holy IV of hope for your soul. Please help me welcome Rory Paquette to the show. I'm so excited to have him here today. I met him through actually being on his podcast a couple times, and I was like, you know what? We got to get you on. So before we get into your testimony, everything that you have here to share with us, I would love for you to share a little bit more about yourself.
Great, sure will. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it very much. And you were an absolutely wonderful guest on two of my podcasts. So, I mean, you raised the bar really high here. So I'm going to have to really step up and perform today.
I know you will. I know you will.
But my name is Rory Paquette. I appreciate that. I'm a podcaster. I currently have 7 active podcasts that are all doing very, very well. I am a coach of a lot of things. I coach podcasters, speakers, authors, content creators, and course creators. I also am a husband and a father to 3 fantastic grown kids. So I'm also an empty nester, which is the one thing that I wish I wasn't out of all those other qualifications.
Aww.
But yeah, other than I think that just about covers who I am.
Yeah. Well, one thing I had a friend mention to me one time, I thought it was a really great flip, but rather than being an empty nester, you're a bird watcher.
I like that a lot.
What do you think about that?
Well, we just moved to be close to 2 of my sons. So that's 2 of my 3 kids. So I would say that's pretty accurate.
Isn't that good? I love it. So I want to go back to, you've got 7 podcasts and you coach in how many different aspects? 7?
Well, I coach at least 5, at least 5.
Yeah. Okay. So for sure, let's touch on the 7 podcasts, because I think when I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, you have how many podcasts? I have one. I have one, and one baby is good for me, but I would love for you to just, kick it back a little bit, a few years to however long you've been doing this. What got you into podcasting?
I think that podcasting is the sort of the ultimate way to communicate personally. You get to connect through audio and in a lot of cases also video just by doing your podcast. People can hear your voice, they hear your stories, you get to share with them. And podcasting is kind of a way for them to see behind the curtain. So, with some of the things that I was doing and, the mission that I was on in life, it really seemed like the most effective way to kind of get my message out.
Yeah. And how many years have you been doing it?
7.
7. Wow. 7 is very highlighted today. 7 represents completion. So that's beautiful.
Thanks.
I would love to hear, and if you could just maybe list off, if you can remember all your babies' names, your podcast, so people can go tune into them. They might be like, well, what are his podcast names?
I appreciate that. My first podcast, I'll do them chronologically. How about that?
Okay.
My first podcast was Power of Man. That's, helping fathers and husbands just become more accountable, better men, better fathers. My second one is The Podcaster Nation, which you've been on. Yeah. And that's an incredibly popular podcast where we highlight other podcasters and the work that they do. Then I have one called Wake Up the Lions, which you also have been on, which is where I invite Christian folks on to share their testimony, talk about how God has influenced their lives, and encourage others to do the same. Then I have Step Up to the Mic, which is a podcast that's for speakers to come on the show and give their talk uninterrupted. So we basically say, hey, welcome to the show, Kristin Kurtz. And then I disappear and you would be able to just do your talk. And then afterwards I come back and I go, hey, Kristin Kurtz, everybody, quick Q&A, and they leave. And then they also have a link to send to, event planners and stuff showing that they actually have done the talk. So it's been very helpful for a lot of folks. After that, I have the Right Path podcast, which is for authors. And we talk about the author and kind of the reason why behind the book as much as about the book. It's really more about the author than it is about the book. Then I have one called Real Talk for Realtors, which created, I think, maybe second in line, but then I put it away for a while because I was in real estate, very successful there for a long time, and was coaching that for a while and stopped. Now I'm bringing on realtors to kind of tell their stories and help them in some of these areas that I coach. And then the last one, the most recent, is called Restoration Nation. And this is where I get into the commercial work that I do. And I work with a lot of restoration and mediation guys that help folks clean up after fire and flood and stuff like that. And I help them create their own podcasts and build their social medias and that kind of thing as a company. So that's the 7 that are out there right now that are all just killing it.
Amazing. So when you say killing it, how do you like what is your gauge for that? What is your
That's a great
version?
question. My gauge for that is it working for the purpose that it's intended for?
Hmm.
The Restoration Nation, for instance, we have a moderate amount of downloads on that,
Hmm.
but it's connecting with all of the clients in
Hmm.
the commercial world that I needed to. And it
Okay.
helps as kind of a sales piece. The other ones all have a purpose
Yeah.
and they all have, I mean, several of them at this point, thank God, and all the glory to him. He
Hmm.
has put me on this path and has helped me do this. They all have incredible numbers. When I started The Right Path, for instance,
Hmm.
we had over 500 downloads in the first hour after we
Serious?
dropped it. Yeah. And I mean, it's doing literally thousands per week at this point, which is crazy.
Wow.
So,
That's
yeah.
incredible. Well, since you also coach podcasters, I don't, maybe this is where we're landing today. We're just going to talk podcasting because I know for me personally, as a coach, I have women who have either I'm going to just use quote unquote, pregnant with podcasts. They just haven't birthed them yet.
I like
And
that.
they feel like it's just so overwhelming. It's just too much. And I think you're going to probably blow the lid off that because you have 7 podcast quote unquote babies that you're, taking care of and they're doing
Hmm.
well. They're thriving. Let's get after some of the lies that maybe you've seen, some of the people that you've worked with who've come to you and they're like, I want to start a podcast, but I can't do it because XYZ.
Hmm. Okay. Some of the lies, is that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the lies that would try to prevent somebody from starting a podcast.
Oh my gosh. Wow. What a great question. The lies I think that people tell themselves and that they hear in their own minds, the spiritual warfare that goes on within folks, that I think maybe keep them, to use your phrase, pregnant with the podcast instead of giving
Mhm.
birth to it. The biggest one is that imposter syndrome, of course, like, well, who am I? Who wants to
Mhm.
listen to me?
Yeah.
I mean, that's classic. Everybody kind of feels like, well, I
Mhm.
don't really have anything of value, or I don't have value, and that type of thing. Another big one though that doesn't get enough attention is well, it's already saturated. There's 4 million
Mhm.
podcasts.
Mhm.
There's no room for me.
Right.
That's a huge lie because people absolutely bond with the podcaster.
Mhm.
They care who's doing the podcast. You can
Mhm.
line up 5 people and have them all talk about the exact same thing,
Yeah.
and they are not competition to one another because
Right.
people are going to vibe with either your voice or your attitude or something you said or a fact or, I mean, the way you look on the podcast cover, or it doesn't matter. Something's going to click.
Yeah.
It's so personal that they're going to click with you in that way.
Mhm.
And when somebody, can identify with you and feels like you get them,
Mhm.
they're going to listen to you and they're
Yeah.
going to listen to your stuff. So it doesn't matter if there's, 4 million or 4 billion podcasts out there.
Mhm.
You will always have a place in the podcasting world because
Mhm.
you're you and nobody else is.
Yeah.
People
So,
don't want to get that.
yeah. I mean, I just had somebody today tell me the exact same thing. Like, why would I even bother? Because there's so many out there.
Oh man, that's it's a convenient way to go. It really
Right.
is because
Right.
people, love an excuse to tell
Mhm.
them why. But
Mhm.
I mean, you're literally saying I'm the same as everybody else.
Mhm.
And you're
Yeah.
not. You're just
Exactly.
not. Every
Yeah.
single one of us is so different
Yeah.
from each other. It's crazy to me that we have to hear that. So I'm glad you're out there fighting to sort of
I'm
knock
like,
that
no,
lie down.
no, you have. Oh, yes, and you too. So you started 7 years ago, and
Yep.
podcasting at that time. Do you know at that point how many podcasts were out there?
There were a little over 2
Yeah.
million.
Two
Yeah,
million.
when I
Okay,
first started,
so
there was like 2.3, I think, something like that. Because I did. I was one who looked at the numbers and went, "Oh no, there's so many."
you
You
had
know.
that lie
Oh yeah, I had the
initially.
exact same. And then I
Okay.
was like, "Come on, man.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got a decent voice. Somebody might want to listen to what you
Yeah.
have to say." And I was like, "Just try it. If nothing else, it'll be fun."
Yes.
And
And did
well,
you
here
have
we are.
anybody like in your corner, like cheering you on, or did you have people kind of like butt whatting it? What I call it, butt what ifing you?
Oh, I've been but what if my whole life, like
Mm.
everywhere you can possibly imagine it. My wife, though, from the
Yeah.
get-go,
Mhm.
she's supported everything I've done, even some of the dumb stuff,
Yeah.
because she loves me. But this one, she was like, "You absolutely have to do this."
Oh,
and so honestly, I was hemming and hawing. I
yeah.
had the microphone and I had the headphones and, I
Mhm.
had the program on my computer. I
Mhm.
started with Audacity, free
Okay.
stuff, right? And
Yeah.
I was ready to go. And I'm sitting there in my chair and she's in the couch and she's just looking at me with this sort of impatient look. And I'm just going, oh,
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know what I got to do. I guess I got to figure this out. And she goes, wait a minute. Why don't you just go down in the basement in your office and
Yeah.
record something?
Uh-huh.
And I looked at her and I went, okay, yeah, she's usually right. I probably should do that. I went down there. I did. It was awful.
Oh,
I figured out what I did wrong. I dumped it. I did it again. And
yeah.
that's episode one.
Oh, wow.
And it all
Wow.
started right then because my wife looked me right in the eye and said, why don't you stop screwing around and go do this?
Wow. What a great wife. What's her name? We need to thank her.
Yeah, her name's Andrea. She goes by Andy.
Andy. Well, thank you, Andy, for pushing your husband off the cliff.
She's been my
Probably
biggest
felt
fan.
like that,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. And I run everything by her. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this with this podcast.
Mhm.
And she
Yeah.
just gives me, she's a little Italian gal. She just gives me straight up answers,
There you go.
wow, that idea is terrible. I don't think you should do that.
Yeah. We need those people, right?
It's great. I need those
Really
people for
do.
sure. Yeah.
Wow. So, I have to ask, you know how we have kids. You have kids, you have three kids. I've got
Mhm.
two kids. And I don't know if you've ever been asked this before, but people have, well, which one's your favorite? Which one's your
Which kid is
favorite?
my favorite?
Yeah, which podcast is your favorite?
Oh, I thought you're actually asking me about my kids.
Can
I'm
you,
like,
I know.
oh my
Have you ever had
gosh.
people ask you that, like about your kids? Which one's your favorite?
Oh yeah, all the time. But they
Okay.
were all athletes too, so I got that question at
Okay.
like every event.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
your
my my
podcast
my
babies.
podcast babies.
Yeah.
My of all of them, my favorite really is Power of Man. And I
Okay.
and I can say that just because it's the one that birthed it all. It's the
Mm,
one where we went through some very, very tough times.
mm,
And when I was going through those tough times, I was just very alone.
mm,
And when I came out of that, I really wanted to somehow help other fathers and husbands to
mhm.
not feel like they were alone when they were going through stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's really where the idea came from.
Okay.
And so, of all the podcasts, I mean, they all are fulfilling. They all are wonderful, frankly. I really do feel like they're children. But the
Mhm.
Power Man is the one that started it all and that even today still
Yeah.
allows me to connect with other men who are going through stuff that I've been through. So,
Mm,
all that
mhm.
pain and suffering and the scars and all that I carry personally, not
Yeah.
professionally, I,
Yeah.
I understand why I went through them all. Every
Mm,
time I can help somebody else not have to deal with it or not have it hurt as bad
yeah.
or maybe it ends quicker for what they're dealing with, any of those things, it's
Mhm.
a very, very big deal to me
Wow.
personally to
Yeah.
have those small victories all the time, and that podcast allows me to do that.
Oh. Well, would you be open to sharing? I know most of my listener base is women, but I do have some men that do come on, and even with
Mhm.
women who are on, they have significant others that they could maybe even share this with as well. That, would you testify to some of what you'd walk through? Ever hear something on this show that stirs something deep, like a nudge from God that there's more? That's stirring. It's not random. I'm Kristin Kurtz, host of Hope Unlocked and the founder of New Wings Coaching, and I'm inviting you into a 45-minute unlocking session, a sacred space to press in, hear what heaven is saying, and activate your next bold step. If you're a trailblazer or kingdom voice ready to break free from doubt and live fully alive, this is for you. Book now at newwingscoaching.net/hope unlocked for special listener pricing. You were born to live uncaged and unapologetically bold. Now back to the show.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's the thing that kind of birthed Power Man was I was in real estate, like I said, had a big successful real estate company, 5 offices in 2 states, and 2008 hit. And we were independent. We were doing it all, bootstrapping it. I was
Mhm.
loving life. But, we went from, making, a real strong 6-figure income off this business
Yeah.
to just crickets,
Mm.
because of what happened with the economy. And we held on for 4 years before we finally had to give it up. And we literally lost everything under the sun, sold everything we had, lost it all.
Wow.
And, long story short, I hit a point where
Mhm.
just couldn't take looking at my kids anymore and not being able to come through for them.
Hmm.
And I made a decision that I wasn't going to be here anymore.
Oh my gosh.
And God pulled me out of that in
Oh,
a big, big way. And, when you have something like that, where you fall that far
yeah.
and you quite literally have rationalized somehow that your family's better off without you.
Mm.
I mean, the devil has a big, strong hold on you at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I even went down the hall and kissed my sons goodbye, type of thing. 'Cause I was just done.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it didn't happen. Walked back to the kitchen and was ready to pull the trigger and take care of things. And
Mm.
I just lost it. Like started convulsing and shaking and everything else and fell to the floor and passed out. I have no
Really?
idea what happened right there. It's never happened before. It never happened since. And when I
Yeah.
woke up, I was literally just sort of washed over and overwhelmed with what were you thinking?
Mm.
And I was just really disgusted with myself at that moment, like more than ever. And I
Mm.
said, you can't possibly do this to your kids. What are you doing?
Right.
You don't even believe in this. What are you doing?
Right.
And so, grabbed a legal pad and
Hmm.
just on each page wrote down one problem, one thing that had to be solved, and just started putting them out all around the living room floor.
Yeah.
And, I was up all night. My kids, my wife wake up and they had no idea what I went through, of course. And they see like 1,000 pieces of paper on the floor in the living
Oh
room. They're
my
like, okay, Dad finally lost his mind. What's going on?
God.
And from that moment forward, I just started taking them one at a time,
Mm.
one at a time. And I decided that day, I told my wife, I said, I'm getting us out of this.
Hmm.
She said, okay, I believe you.
Hmm.
And
Mm.
sorry, she actually said that.
Yeah.
So, and I said, look, I'm going to do this. I know I can. I'm going to put some jobs together and figure this out. I'm just going to have to not really sleep hardly at all. I'm just going to
Mm.
really need your help. And she's like, yeah, I'm with you.
Oh my God.
And I found a combination of three jobs, a full-time, a part-time, and throw in two routes of newspapers every morning. And it all worked out together to where I got to sleep from 12:30 to 1:30,
1 hour.
1 hour. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this. And I managed to bring in all that income from all those jobs
Mm.
and somehow live. And I said, I can do this for about 6 months. And, before I like either go crazy or die. And I did. I made it 7 months doing that and got us all the way out of it. Got all the bills paid, got everything taken care of, got us back on our feet, got us a place to live that, I didn't have to be packing a gun to walk in and out of, the
Mm.
whole bit. And we started over.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I didn't want anybody ever to feel, any man to ever have to feel that alone again.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at that point, did you have people that you could have reached out to, other men like in your life, whether it's family or friends, to, vulnerably share what you were walking through?
No,
No,
nobody. No, the
nobody.
people I thought were my friends, even family, either they didn't care what was
Mhm.
happening to me or they were kind of glad, that it was
That you'd
happening.
walked through all of that?
Yeah. No, they were just like, hey, this guy thought he, was all that. He thought he had this. He built this company up. And it's amazing when people see you rise up, how
Mm.
much they enjoy seeing you fall.
That's really sick.
It's really true, though.
I'm so sorry that you walked
Yeah.
through. I know, like, I've heard people talk about in Australia, and maybe in your interviews that you've done with people in that area, they talk about, like, is it tall poppy syndrome? Have you
Mm,
heard that phrase before?
I think I know what that is. Yeah.
Like they just try to keep you into a place of like you can't rise up.
Right.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah. It's the crabs in the bucket thing. Every time one of the crabs tries to crawl
Yeah,
out, the other crabs all pull it back down,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
was a lot of that, a lot of
Wow.
that. So,
Oh,
but
wow.
that's pretty much the story in a nutshell. And, sorry if I took too long, but that's
No,
it.
it's like I believe like our testimonies and the fact that you are still sitting here, right? And you're speaking this out. We're recording today on April 27th of 2026. How many years ago was this?
Oh gosh, 8.
2008. Okay. So
Yeah, that's
eight.
when that happened to me. I mean, our crash started long before that, but when
Yeah.
I hit that moment of Yeah. Being at the lowest point ever.
Hmm.
That was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question for you, and I sometimes have interesting questions, but I was imagining you with this legal pad. Do you remember what the first problem was that you wrote down?
Hmm. Rent.
Rent.
Rent. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Behind on the rent, facing homelessness, yada, yada. And so that was the first one because I really just like went right down the list of,
Mhm.
you know what? So the first few were like, rent, car, this and that. And you kind of list your bills and then you get into all the other stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, rent.
And I'm just curious, so like at that time, you felt pretty alone, in essence, not having a lot of men in your life to speak to. I'm so thankful you had a wife that supported you in this way and have a wife, right, who
Mhm.
continues to. What was God saying to you at this time? Like in your prayers, like were you reaching out to him? Was there hiding, right? Because there's times I've walked through stuff myself. It's like God doesn't want to hear about my stuff. I'm too bad. I've done, do you know what I mean? Like
I
how
do.
was that in that situation with God? Like how did you reach out or not reach out to him at that time?
Yeah, I'll try. That's another, I'll try to keep a long story short for you. I did not have a relationship with God at that moment.
Okay.
And I was not reaching out to God. I was very angry with God.
Mhm.
I spent most of my life angry with God just because of the way I was raised and very abusive, alcoholic type upbringing. So
Yeah.
I started my life very angry
Yeah.
with God. And that just continued. I just sort of kept being angry. I always knew that there was a God there, but I was just going to be mad at him
Mhm.
for what he had done. And then I started building myself up. We had this big successful company, and I really kind of felt like, hey, I did this in spite of God. You're
Mhm.
trying to keep me down, but you know what? I succeeded anyway. So, ha,
Wow. Yeah.
and then it all comes apart. And you're like, really? You couldn't even let me have this. I worked so hard for it, and you even have to take this away from me.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I was done
Yeah.
with God at that point.
Mhm.
When he saved me that night, I didn't recognize then that he had saved me.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't recognize that until just a few years ago, actually.
Just a few years ago, like as of in the 2020s?
Yeah, matter of fact, it was 2024 when I finally realized it.
Well, would you mind telling us a little bit about that if you're open to it?
Yeah, sure.
I go deep. Can you tell?
I can tell. No, I can get it. I had a near death experience. I really should be dead, to be honest with you. I shouldn't be sitting here
I,
talking to
I'm with you. We both should be dead. Yeah.
you. You
Isn't
too,
that
huh?
wild? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Many times over.
Yeah. So I had a really bad pneumonia and had no idea why, and I was just self negligent, really. Self neglect. Everyone else was more important to me than I was. Took care of everything else under the sun. Just figured I'd get over this at some point and didn't realize that for over a year I was carrying pneumonia and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And one night my breathing was getting more and more shallow and I was kind of timing it. And I looked at my wife and I'm like, if this keeps going in this direction, 10 minutes from now, I won't be able to breathe. And I said, we need to go to the emergency room. So threw me in the truck, got me to the emergency room, broke like 10 laws to get me there. And I walked into the emergency room and I remember reaching out to the lady behind the desk. And that was the last thing I saw. I passed out, couldn't breathe anymore.
Really?
And yeah, my left lung was totally filled and frozen, and my right lung about half capacity and couldn't move or breathe anymore. So
Mhm.
that should have killed me. And then they tried like 9 different remedies for it while I was spending, over a month in the hospital.
Okay.
And they finally said, we have to do this surgery and go in and do this, or you're going to die. I was like, okay. And the surgery had about a 20% chance of me making it through it. So it's like, well, you're probably going to die if we do the surgery, but you're going to die if we don't do it. So let's
Wow.
let's go.
Wow.
And here I am talking to you. So clearly that's the end of the story. But it was in those about 3, 4 weeks of recovery also from that and sitting in the hospital with my wife. And she was there every night, right there by my side, never left. And you can only watch so many of those old, Welcome Back Kotter TV shows on the hospital TV,
Right.
before you just turn it off and you just realize that you start talking. Yeah, my
Mm.
wife and I basically just had talks we never had before. And
Mm.
it was in those talks because my wife has always carried the torch for our faith and our family, raised our kids to be faithful
Yeah.
the whole bit. But knew I had to do it on my own. She wasn't going to force me. She was like, well,
Right. Yeah.
and that's why, I heard your story on the
Mhm.
podcast that really hit home because I know you deal with a lot of the same type of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But she just said, hey, God's going to meet him where he is at some point. And
Exactly.
apparently, God had to slap me pretty hard to get me to wake up.
Yeah.
But it was
Happens.
in those talks that I looked back and started realizing, there was no denying that God had saved me this time
Okay.
because I shouldn't be here. There
Right.
was no denying it. And I finally said, okay, I give. He absolutely did. But then you start looking back and you start to see all the different times when, he
Mhm.
was carrying you, he was there, he helped you. And you're like,
Mhm.
I didn't even realize that.
Right.
Why did I crash to the floor that night that I was getting ready to take my own life out? Why did I just start convulsing out of nowhere? Why did I pass out? I
Yeah.
don't pass out.
Mhm.
It's never happened before, never happened since. Why
Mhm.
did that all happen that night?
Yeah.
I mean, what happened to me when I was out cold on the floor that night that I
Mhm.
woke up and had this completely different outlook?
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't happen on accident.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
wasn't until I took the time to, for the first time in my life, get quiet
Mm.
and talk to my wife and start talking to God that I actually kind of heard him back.
Mm.
So there
So
you go.
what was that like, talking to God for the first time? Because I do have some similarities. Like I wasn't saved till I was 25 and I actually hated God prior to
Hmm.
because of my upbringing as well.
Yeah.
So just a completely different outlook with him. And do you remember just conversing, like maybe one of the first things that we say like hearing your spirit or like hearing God for the first time? Was it through like the word? Were you hearing kind of that still small voice? What'd that look like for you?
Yeah. I'm talking to my wife 1 minute and then she's, passed out because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and
Mhm.
she's, been there nonstop. So she's trying to talk to me even as she's falling asleep and
Yeah.
she's just trying her best. And
Mhm.
she finally falls asleep and I'm sitting there awake, in all this pain. And I just start out loud talking
Oh.
and I just start telling them all these things, how I felt, why I did what I did,
Mhm.
and I feel like I'm outwardly having a conversation.
Mhm.
I'm a guy who speaks. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
talk, right?
Yeah.
Big shock.
Mhm.
so,
Yeah. Mhm.
so I just talked,
Yeah.
and somewhere in the middle of that, somewhere between like 3 and 5 a.m.
Mhm.
And I don't remember the exact day, but I could pinpoint the week,
Mhm.
that it happened because you always lose track of time in a hospital.
Yeah.
But it was right in that time slot where I just felt like he was answering me back.
Mm.
And I started kind of hearing this answer back.
Mhm.
And then I would respond to that.
Mhm.
And I was literally having this conversation back and forth.
Yeah.
And I just could tell what the answers were.
Yeah.
And there was some stuff that I had never thought about before that was
Mhm.
coming into my mind as an answer to the question.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's not coming from me. I've never
Right.
talked that way.
Yeah.
There was some stuff about scripture, for instance, that came up. And I was like, I don't even know if I know that.
Wow. Do you
Uh,
remember which scripture came up for you at all?
he, I don't. I wish I did,
Yeah.
but I remember hearing these things that I found out later were actually scripture. There was a bunch of stuff in the book of Matthew,
Okay.
and so my wife is the one who looked it all up and was like, "You're talking about the book of Matthew right now,"
Oh, that's
and I'm
incredible.
going, "I am."
Isn't that
Like,
amazing? I mean, it's like
okay,
you can't make this stuff up.
it was crazy. It really was.
Stuff like
When I came out of that, I became much more faithful, much more wanting to educate myself on it all,
hmm
and I brought that faith piece into the Power of Man podcast.
Yeah. So you
Very
had
hard.
kind of a shift in that everything then in the Power
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah. I had always been pro faith. I had never
Mhm.
discouraged anybody from talking about their faith,
For sure.
especially on the podcast. But I started promoting it at that
Mm.
point, going, look, if you guys don't want to hear this, feel free to tune out.
Mm.
But,
That's
but
that's very bold. I mean, some people aren't willing to do that.
I just didn't care anymore.
Right.
I built everything I have now.
Mhm.
I've built on being just open, honest, and authentic and truthful. I don't,
Mhm.
I can't care.
Right.
I'm not building it to sell something.
Hmm.
And I think it's one of the reasons why I'm successful right now is because people know that I'm just being open and honest and authentic.
You guys,
That
I
stuff
wanted to
too.
pause for a second. Like whoever's listening, I want you to write those words down. Can you say them again?
Open, honest, and authentic.
Yeah. I do believe that our world is like yearning for that, and we need more who are willing to be that. What would
Well,
you say to that?
I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What go a little deeper on that. What does that look like?
I do. Well, let me go this way with it.
Hmm.
I am on social media a ton.
Hmm.
We all, for better or worse, build our businesses, at least in part, on social media.
Hmm.
And every day, all I see is people who are, spouting this, spouting that, and lying about this, and claiming that, and trying to sell this, and trying to take money on that.
Hmm.
And there's nobody out there actually offering real, honest to God help that
Yeah.
I see. I mean, there are folks, like, yourself, for instance,
Yeah.
but
Thank
there's
you for
so much.
thank you for seeing that.
Of course, I wouldn't be on your podcast
I know.
if I thought
Okay.
otherwise. So, but seriously, it's there's a few of us that are like, hey, we're teaching from what we've learned.
Hmm.
Our scars, have showed us some things, and so let us help you so you don't have to get the same scar, and that's real,
Yeah.
and that is good, and I think we need more of that. But there's too many of this other thing, which is, oh, I got a system, I got a this, I got a that, and I'm like, you're not going to sell one system to anybody like that that's going to work for everyone because everybody's different. It
Yes.
just doesn't work.
Absolutely. Thank you. Say it again.
So anybody who's coaching and doesn't treat the coaching as individual coaching is not really coaching. They're just selling a product.
Exactly. It's and wouldn't you say it's not even really coaching, it's more consulting.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's just selling a product. I think
Hmm.
that's it. You have this course and you're selling it.
Hmm.
And you're like, well, I hope everybody can figure out how to put a square peg into a round hole because you know what?
Right.
This is actually for you.
Yeah.
So,
And I want to just, touch on, I know people who have courses and things out there that are beneficial, but I think the problem is when we see that it's like, it goes with anything. This is going to be your magic ticket for everybody, right?
right.
And it's
Yeah.
not.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not bad mouthing courses. I mean, I have courses too, but it's the
Mhm.
way you implement them and it's the way you present them, and you're right. Hey, this course works for everyone. Okay. No, it doesn't. You're lying. Get out of my face.
Yeah.
It has to actually be absorbed.
Hmm.
It's got to be tailored to,
Yeah.
and everybody's going to take that course and treat it differently.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
anyway, I don't know
So
how I got
when
on
you're,
that, but
well, it's okay. So let's kind of touch on your coaching. So you've got five different areas that you focus on with your clients. What can you just say them again?
yeah,
So,
sure. Absolutely. I teach that there's 5 building blocks to online sales success.
mhm.
And those building blocks are podcasting, public speaking, writing or being an author, your book, content creation for social media, and course creation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think those 5 things are of the utmost importance. The more building blocks you have underneath you, the more
Mhm.
verticals you can plant that will help you grow.
Okay.
And
Uh,
that's how I coach.
how did you get into this aspect then?
I've done all of those things.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've written 2 books. I've been on stages plenty, and I've been podcasting for 7 years. I mean, by most metrics, I would say successfully.
Yeah.
And so I take what I've actually learned and teaching people,
Yeah.
how to not take 7 years to learn
Right.
it.
Right.
So,
And so which of the five areas do you love most? Again.
podcasting by far. I don't even mind saying it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm really
Yeah.
good at all the other ones, but podcasting is just
Hmm.
it's who I am.
Yeah.
And I think podcasting is the engine for all of it. I really
Do
do.
you? Do you? Tell us more about that.
I think that if you're doing your podcasting the way you should be doing your podcasting,
Mhm.
that it literally can house and help grow every other aspect that we've mentioned. in,
Mm,
so far. I think the podcast can assist it. The podcast can help it. The podcast can be the thing that helps sell it. The podcast can be the thing that features you, that builds your brand. The podcast can be the thing that brings you clients. It can be the thing that brings you fans. It can be the thing that just brings you listeners. It can bring you credibility. The podcast literally can do everything you need
mm,
done in a
mm.
business atmosphere if you're doing it correctly.
Okay.
And I just think it's one of the most powerful tools out there.
Yeah. What would you say is like one of the, I don't know if we were to say correctly and kind of the flip of it, right? So there's the correct way and then there's like the incorrect way. What would you say would be maybe something that you're seeing done incorrectly a lot these days in podcasting?
Oof.
Maybe that
Wow.
somebody's come to you and maybe clients that you're working with and you're like, oh, I can help you with that.
Sure. I think one of the biggest things people are doing incorrectly is they don't know what their podcast is for.
Hmm.
If you have a podcast that is built for lead generation, then it should work that way. That's what you should make it do. If your podcast is there for public service to spread information, then that's what it should do. Everybody wants their podcast to be everything.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think that's a big problem, is that people don't really dive down and make the podcast sort of part of the business plan. They just say, "Oh, I just want it to grow," or "I just want to monetize," right?
Hmm.
And I think that's probably the other big issue, is that
Hmm.
people think that in order to monetize your podcast, you have to have 10,000 downloads, or you have to have this, you have to have that, or I'm not big enough, or well, I really can't do that. You can monetize a podcast right now.
Hmm.
I don't even care who you are. There's 50 different ways to do it
Hmm.
right off the bat. And people get so stuck in what the industry tells us needs to
Hmm.
be done.
Hmm.
They go to Podfest and they hear the experts and they go, oh, well, then that's how it all has to be.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I have news for you. The experts are all being paid to say that.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's not real.
Hmm.
And, I have big conversations with some of the bigwigs about this stuff. If you have 20 episodes on your podcast, you can be monetized.
Hmm.
If you
Wow.
have 10,000 views on social media, you can be monetized.
Hmm.
Period. And it's not that tough to get.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
So how have you like strategy wise, I guess I could say like how have you like do you feel like the Lord gives you these like unique downloads to
yes,
step into? Because I know like for me too, it's like I just say like I can't make this stuff up, right? And there's areas that I'm definitely not an expert in. So as you've walked this out, what would you say is like one of the most unique and most powerful like downloads he's given to you to help somebody, I'll use my language of soar and rise up and whatever it is that they're doing.
sure. That's a great one. And yes, I do believe that I'm getting them all from him,
Mhm.
because I see things and I don't even know how I saw them
Yeah.
sometimes. And I'm like, wow, that really makes sense. No idea where that came from.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But okay.
Love it.
I don't charge very much at all, to
Mhm.
be honest. I'm not a $5,000 guy.
Yeah.
I'm just not. And the reason that I don't is because I want to help as many people as possible.
Mhm.
But that's why I have so many people who recommend me
Mhm.
also, openly, freely, in forums and stuff. I get tagged all the time, which is great, you know. But one of the, I guess, things like you're talking about in terms of that most people don't know that I think is done wrong is social media.
Mhm.
When it has to do with your podcast, with your speaking, any of these other things we're talking about,
Mhm.
everybody believes what Facebook or Instagram, or whatever the platform is. They believe what they tell them.
Mhm.
Facebook tells everybody, for instance, that they have to have engagement.
Mhm.
Engagement's meaningless.
Mhm.
It doesn't help you monetize. It helps
Mhm.
Facebook grow,
Mhm.
which is why they want you to do that.
Mhm. Like doing ads.
Like getting likes and hearts and comments and all that, they think that's the most important thing.
Okay.
It's Facebook's goal. And when I say Facebook, I mean all platforms. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
But Facebook's goal is to get you to buy an ad.
Mhm.
They want you to pay them money. So they'll give you, it's like a slot machine. They give you just enough success and then they stop you,
Mhm.
and hey, here you are. You tasted
Good way to
success.
put
If
it.
you want more, go buy an ad.
Mhm.
Right. But
Mhm.
the thing that helps you monetize on social media is views.
Mhm.
I mean, I used to sell billboard advertising. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I get this, and a
Okay.
lot of people don't. We drove to Chicago a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah.
we're on I-90 going to Chicago, and my wife was helping me count. We got to like 60 billboards at one point.
Really? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And she was writing down the company and stuff for me. I went and looked some stuff up. I called around just because I wanted to see rates.
Yeah.
And people are getting, $5,000 a month for a billboard that gets, 800,000 views. Well,
Wow.
I have
I never
social
even thought
media.
about that.
I have social media students who have 250,000 views every 30 days on their social media because they followed my systems and stuff, and they
Mhm.
do what I tell them to do to grow it. And I'm
Mhm.
like, do you have any idea how much that's worth?
Mm.
Those are
Mm.
views, just
Mhm.
like the billboard.
Mhm.
And as
Yeah.
soon as they start putting that out to the world, it's like all of a sudden people want to pay them money to advertise on their social media, to advertise on their podcast.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like that's a sponsor. When a
Wow.
sponsor is willing to pay you $500 a month to be your sponsor, you have a sponsor.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. I don't want to hear about 5 cents per 10,000 downloads through Buzzsprout.
Mhm. Yeah.
Buzzsprout's the one making all that money,
Mhm.
not us.
Mhm.
So, I mean, something as simple as that, how many times does somebody blow a kiss or give a hug to a
Mhm.
billboard? They don't. They just view it and they drive by.
That is really interesting.
Anheuser-Busch and
Never
Pepsi, they
thought of
know what they're
that.
doing.
Mhm. Yeah, some of these billboards, I went to a cabin over the weekend, so it was a 3 hour and then 3 hour back, and some of these billboards are just brilliant.
And you noticed them, right?
Absolutely. My friend and I were like, that is really crazy, but it sticks.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, huh, wow.
All the same stuff that you could do in a social media post or 3 or 4 a week even
Hmm.
to the same number of people,
Hmm. Well,
so.
what would you say to somebody, and I've even had this too, because you're kind of opening my mind a little bit because back in the day with social media, it was like you would see a lot more quote unquote engagement. I feel
Mhm.
like people were more prone to like comment and, maybe like something or love something.
Mhm.
To somebody who's just like, I think I just need to give up because nobody cares. Nobody's, you know, talking to me. Nobody's liking it. What would you say to that person then?
I would say that's not the way things go anymore because, and this is really is the reasoning.
Hmm.
The climate that we're in today
Hmm.
is that if anybody disagrees with anything, they want you canceled. They want you hurt. They want you violently like encountered.
Hmm.
I mean, look what just happened a couple days ago
Right.
or
Hmm.
yesterday.
Hmm.
So if somebody, I had to deal with this for a long time. I thought Power of Man was
Hmm.
not doing well
Okay.
because my accounts only had like a couple hundred followers and like nothing, but I
Mm.
would get 30,000 views.
Wow.
And I'm like, how does this doesn't make any sense? What's happening here?
Yeah.
And I asked a couple of the guys that happened to contact me directly. I'm like, just curious, you're not following me. What's up?
Hmm.
And a couple of them were honest and they said, well, I can't afford to have somebody else see that I'm following you because
Oh,
it's a masculinity podcast and they're going to cancel me or I could get fired.
interesting.
And right now, if you have a faith-based
Hmm.
anything,
Hmm.
people will watch you, they'll love you, they'll, listen to you all the time, but they won't like your post
That's so interesting.
because it shows, hey, Kristin liked this post and it gets sent out to people that know you.
Oh,
Right?
that's
This post was liked by Kristin and Mary and Joseph and everybody else, right? And now
so,
all of a sudden I know that
yeah.
Kristin liked something that was faith-based.
Oh my gosh.
I'm never talking to her again,
I know, right?
right?
We're canceling her.
Right. Exactly. I'm
Huh.
going to start sending hate her way. I'm going to make
Yeah.
horrible comments now.
Yeah.
Kristin, I've received to date 6 death threats,
Have you really?
actual death threats. It's a
No,
joke in my family at this point. But
now, do you know what it's attributed back to? Is there a specific episode? Is it just in general? Is there anything that they've like alluded to that points back to something? I would
four
very
of them,
curious.
four of them were from from the Power Man podcast.
Really?
Now, in that, two of them had to do with some father's rights stuff that we were
Hmm.
highlighting, how dads are treated in court and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And that got just absolute hate. And then we had two more. One was about raising sons in a
Hmm.
strong fashion, and another one was actually about being grateful. And I'm like,
About being grateful?
grateful, yeah, for what you have in your life.
Yeah.
And they accused me of being covertly Christian and trying to hide that I was Christian. And I'm like, wow, I
Mm.
talk openly about it, so I don't think I'm hiding anything. But they just felt like being mad that day, right?
Wow.
And then the other two came when I started Wake Up the Lions.
Sure.
Yeah, I put out 2 days before that podcast came out. I put out a reel saying, "Hey, coming soon. Here's the new art, and this is what we're doing. A place
Mm.
for Christians to share their testimonies and encourage others to do the same."
Hmm.
I wasn't calling for a war or anything.
Right.
I mean, that's all it was.
Well,
We got just under 300 comments on that.
wow.
Comments, like actual,
Yeah.
engagement,
Like
right?
engagement. Hmm.
Over 230 of them were negative and somewhat violent, and
Interesting.
basically telling me I better not,
Hmm.
and calling me every name in the book.
Wow.
And so I've gotten two from different episodes that were completely different
Mm.
about Wake Up the Lions,
Mm.
where
Mm.
we're not talking badly about anybody else. It's not about any
Mhm.
other religion. It's just simply
Mhm.
celebrating our own,
Mhm.
which I don't know is one of the principles that our entire country was founded upon.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, yeah, when you know that,
Mhm.
then you go back to social media because, again, I'm waxing on here and I apologize.
No, you're good.
But when you put something out and you don't get any likes,
Mhm.
you got to look at the views. Okay. If
Okay.
you're getting 20,000 views on that, you did a good job.
Wow. That's so
Okay.
good. I think the podcast is Hope Unlocked, so I'm always wanting to just help people go from, this like potential hopeless state because, there's a lot of hopelessness out there. And I talk to a lot of people and they're just like, well, what's the point of me even putting my stuff out there? Like nobody cares. So I feel like this is definitely unlocking something for somebody today. And what keeps you going? What keeps you continuing on? What keeps you, even though you're receiving these threats, like what is it that keeps you moving forward? Because you could just bail out. And I
Well,
think a lot of
sure.
people do that.
Yeah. I mean, I could have. Part of it is I do this for a living. I mean, this is my full-time job.
Hmm.
I don't have another job. I
Hmm.
support my entire family on this.
Hmm.
So bailing is not an option. But,
Right.
I mean, I could have years ago when I first started getting them and I had another job and everything else.
Hmm.
But, the thing of it is I look at my life right now and I should not be here, like I said.
Right. Hmm.
And on one occasion, I really almost did it to myself.
Hmm.
And on another occasion, well, I guess technically I did it to myself by ignoring what was going on with me. But God gave me these chances.
Yeah.
He brought me back clearly
Yeah.
for a reason.
Hmm.
And pretty sure that I'm in my purpose in
Yeah.
doing what I do.
Yeah.
If God sent me back here,
Hmm.
then I'm not going to worry about some, guy with purple hair eating Cheetos in his mom's basement who thinks that I should go die.
Amen. Yeah. I'm
I'm
getting
just
quite
not.
the visual.
So,
Yeah.
every time I put out another episode and every time I have somebody else on who, you know,
Hmm.
puts out a powerful testimony or, really helps people or something, I
Hmm.
just imagine, that person I just described
Yeah.
and I just blow him a kiss. Like,
So good.
here's another one for you, you
So
know.
good. Yeah. Well, what is something that's like stretchy coming up for you this year? Is there anything that the Lord is leading you into that is maybe new and different, is a little stretchy beyond what you've ever done before that requires his help? Are you
Um,
doing anything like that this year?
yeah, actually, that's great. I love that. I am, I'm getting back on stage
Are
this
you?
year, which is really, really big. It's been a lot of years.
Okay.
And so I put myself back out there as a speaker. I'm already getting things lined up
Hmm.
to go back out and speak. And it's I get to tell my story on some stages. I get to talk about faith on a lot of stages. I get to talk about real estate in a couple spots, which is kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah.
But I get to do a lot of talking about podcasting and growing your
Okay.
business and that kind of thing. So for
Mm.
me to do that requires
Mhm.
that I actually get my body back in shape also,
Okay.
which has been quite the interesting phenomenon because
Very
I'm
cool.
not 20 anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens.
So yeah, I actually had to hire a trainer to help me
Oh,
with it
good.
because if you really can't do it yourself, you hire a coach.
Right.
I believe that, and I am a coach
Yes.
for a lot of folks, but this was something I needed help with,
Good for
and I
you.
hired a coach.
Hmm.
And boy, that I mean, he was talking to me on the phone before I even got on with you today, going, "What do your
Really?
calories look like, man?
Oh,
Why'd you eat that then?"
yeah.
And I, like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, that's a really good point. Probably shouldn't have.
So good. Well, so if somebody's listening and they're hearing like Rory's going out, he wants to speak, is there something specific that you would love to you would really love to speak on, like first and foremost? Is there a favorite topic, and does that bring up anything for you if somebody's listening in today?
Yes, I love that. Thank you. I would love to speak on anything about helping people liberate themselves. As I love speaking about podcasting in general
Mm-hmm.
and also specifically, but podcasting is part of online business.
Yeah.
And, I did a reel about it yesterday on Facebook. It's there for everyone. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to have a great voice. You don't have to have a great look. You don't have to have, you don't have to have.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to start. And
Mm.
you can use any of the tools that are out there
Yeah.
to get a message out, to get a word out, to get yourself started. The only way that you stop hating what you're going to do on Monday is
Mhm.
if you start working towards it.
Yeah.
And, there is no magic pill.
Mm-hmm.
There's no magic bullet. There's no, spend $10,000 on this and in 30 days you'll make 100 grand. It just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't happen.
Right.
But it's a very real process. And I love to speak to folks about whatever your particular passion is. There's a vehicle for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to package it. There's a way to promote it. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a way to make a living at it. You
Mm-hmm.
just have to start. And
Right.
that's really what I love more than anything right now is working with those 5 building blocks of online sales for folks because everybody's got a path there. They just have
Mm-hmm.
to find it.
So good. Well, if you're gonna name your like TEDx speech, what would you call it?
Stop hating Mondays.
Stop hating Mondays. That's good.
Yeah. How to stop hating Mondays.
What do you love most about Monday?
I love most about Monday that I'm going back to helping people
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going back to helping people improve their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I have a coaching call, I know I'm helping somebody get further down the road to where
Mm-hmm.
they want to go.
So good.
I love that. I really can't wait.
Yeah. Well, you're amazing. It's been so
Oh,
awesome to have you on the show. Thank you for coming.
thank you for that.
Have to have you back on again at some point. Tell us the names of your two books.
Yeah. First book is The Lone Wolf Selling System, which is for anybody who's ever sold anything. Kind of a good way to look at yourself in the mirror. And then the other one is my giant battle with weight loss back when I was huge and I lost over 100 pounds doing it. It's
Oh,
called the 5% diet.
wow.
And it tells a couple of stories in there. It's a personal accounting of what I went through, what I did wrong, and what finally worked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Well, and how can people get a hold of you?
Best place, honestly, I'm an old guy. Just find me
Mhm.
on Facebook at Rory
Okay.
Paquette. All my stuff is there. Follow me
I
on
love it.
Facebook, and you're going to get any pathway you need to anything. And you can always DM me there and ask me any question. I'm on
Okay.
Facebook almost all day, I think. So
Are you?
that's the best
Awesome.
one for me.
I love it. Well, and I'll be sure to have his contact information in the show notes. So, well, and I personally do this seed cast for the one. So if you could just get in mind somebody who's listening in today, would you just think of anything like else that you'd want to share over this one who's listening in? Any words of encouragement, any other words of wisdom, anything that's coming up in mind for this one that you're getting in mind?
Goodness, I would say stop limiting yourself.
Mm, that's good.
We are not limited by the world around us. We are not limited by material things. We are limited by our own thoughts, our own expectations, and our own beliefs. God put you here for a reason. Go find it.
Yes. Huge key. Say that last line again.
God put you here for a reason. Go find it.
It's like a treasure hunt, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
well, you're amazing. I am going to close with the Hope Unlocked anchoring verse. It's may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit you may abound in hope. And that's Romans 15:13. So thank you, Rory, for being a brave voice who's setting so many free. And I appreciate you. So I will be back with another episode next week, listeners. Have a wonderful day. Bye.